Welcome to Kingdomize, the podcast, where we discuss how to see our lives and our world through a kingdom lens, how to infuse kingdom culture into our families, our workplaces, and our cities, as we all participate in the dream of Jesus to see his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. So welcome back to Kingdomize, the podcast. And as the good Lord would have it, we're all here again today. All my Kingdomize friends are here to talk about business. If you've been following along in your notebooks, I hope you have. We've been on a series now on Kingdomize everything. Kingdomize everything. And today we're going to talk about Kingdomize your business with my friends Bruce, and Ian Green, our esteemed president, Ian Green. And before we get going, let's do a shameless plug, because over a year ago now, and I guess we're almost exactly, we launched a program called Kingdomize Your Business. And so nothing we talk about today is specifically from there. But Ian, for those listening right now, tell them what Kingdomize Your Business is.
Look, we love Kingdomize Your Business. It's for successful Christian business entrepreneurs that want more from their business than just making money, just being generous, just giving to causes that are going to help people in their vicinity or maybe across the globe. But we want to help to shape Christian businesses to have more of a kingdom DNA. And so it's a 3-month course. It's 1 hour per week plus a one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Brian Beatty. And we cover things like embracing your courage Christian calling, embrace your courageous kingdom calling. So we don't have a secular divide. We think your calling to business is equal to the calling of a pastor or an apostle or whatever. And you actually may be an apostle in the marketplace. We want people to embody a courageous kingdom lifestyle. And so out of your heart, out of your inner world, the kingdom will begin to flow and impact your company, your employees, your suppliers, and your customers. And then we move in the last month on to embark a Christian kingdom impact. How can your business have a kingdom impact, maybe where it's located or maybe in another part of the world? And we give you guidance. We listen to your heart and we give you guidance on how you can have an impacting company that has a kingdom impact exactly where you live. So that's roughly the idea of the course. And if you want more information, just go to our website. We have stuff there ready to send to you.
Ian, that's fantastic. If I had a business, and apparently we do, I would take that course. But apparently we wrote it, so it's good. And we are getting great reviews. Like we had a meeting yesterday with some of the people, gentlemen, ladies that have taken the course, just getting incredible reviews of what happened in them and through them during the time of taking the course, but then what they've done since. Really, really amazing. So we love business people. We love this calling because it's significant. So if you do any reading in Christendom or kingdom thinking, there's a guy named Oz Hillman who will say business is the most important mountain of all of them. He will just go strong and say, without business, you can't pay for the rest. And so I know Bruce Friesen's on here. He's going to go, I'm sorry, it's going to be family and education. And I love that whoever does whatever they do, they go, no, this is most important. And because we need that. So I don't know if I'm ready to say one's more important than the other. I'm ready to say they're all important. But today, as we talk about business, as we talk about getting God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven in real, tangible, holistic, sustainable ways, business is a huge part. And I'm just going to jump off something that Ian just said as a bit of introduction. The way through here is that we do believe that business is a calling. So we're not going to go through this, but as one of the 7 mountains of influence or spheres of influence, business is significant. in all of them. And we believe that you can be called there, you could be anointed there, and that there's no sacred secular divide. There's no, these people over here, the religious people, the spiritual people, they're really good, and the rest of us are all schmucks. But we believe that God, with God says something and says, I want you to be a doctor, I want you to be a lawyer, I want you to be ABC in business, that's what makes something sacred. And so we see that as significant. We want to honor that calling. In the big picture, as I just said, we want to honor all the callings, because as we move from calling the lifestyle to impact in the community, it actually takes all of these groups, all of these spheres to work together in an integrated way to change the entire city, the nations, the globe, gentlemen, the globe. The last piece I want to add here, because I think it's really significant, and for some people, the light bulb goes off on this one. And here's what I found, guys, for me anyway. When I say to business people, we believe you're called, and we believe you're as called as a pastor or the apostle, as you said, Ian, it's like, that's really exciting for them. They go, yes, no one said this to me before, and that's fantastic. The next thing I say to them after they grab that and they've got it firmly established, I say, well, just the way you're called to your business and you're anointed for that, there's an expectation on being led by the Spirit. And the example I always give is, so for example, when you come to church on Sunday, are you expecting that your pastor heard from the Lord? And of course the answer, of course he should. He's the man of God. He should hear from the Lord every Sunday. I expect that. And I said, exactly, you should expect that. And that's the same way we expect business people that are kingdom people to run their businesses, that they hear from the Lord. They're anointed to run this business and make money for the kingdom. Have a great lifestyle, that's awesome, but there actually is an anointing to raise finance and be, but you're doing it as being led by the Spirit. And so Galatians 5:25, keeping in step with the Spirit, isn't for a certain calling. It is for everyone that's anointed for whatever they're doing in today. That's business. So yes, you're called. Yes, you're anointed. Do it by the leading of the Spirit. And when that happens, man, that brings, that puts the, well, for funeral directors, that puts the fun back in funerals. But for fundamentalists, say the fun back in fundamentalists. And yeah, so very important. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm interested. I think we've all found mental blocks oftentimes with business owners concerning the concept that they are called. Like, what have you guys, the Bruces, what have you found as you've dialogued in this area? What have you found with people?
Well, I think part of our the indicators for our gifting is what brings us energy, what excites us, what gets us motivated, right? Like that's one of the indicators of that this is an area that you're gifted in, that you're anointed in, that because it excites you and to acknowledge that, and to for a business leader, the business excites me, it's energizes me. I love the process, I love all the parts of it, and for them to realize that that's actually because they're moving in their in their sphere that they're anointed for is revolutionary to many, because they never really equate that with God's Spirit working in them. But once they begin to do that, then they could, for me, then they're able to then begin to recognize not only is the Spirit working within them, but they're hearing God's voice and who helps them. Mm-hmm. And this isn't to over spiritualize one thing to the other. That's kind of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's for those who are anointed for teaching, being able to unpack something and teach somebody, that's energizing, right? Yeah. For me, anyway. When I'm sensing energy, I've learned that that's kind of when I'm moving in the thing that I have strength in, and that I've begun to recognize, and I think as I've gotten older, I've recognized and it allows me then to make great choices and to hear God's voice better.
I think that we've got to be able to make a shift, and so often the barriers that people have within the context of business is a mindset. And we're talking about part of it in the calling, but we need to realize if you're a Christian, you're in full-time ministry. If you're a Christian, you're a full-time missionary. If you're in education, it's education as mission. If you're in politics, it's politics as mission. If you're in business, it's business as mission. It's seen it as mission. But I also really like the way that Paul identifies, and he does it in several ways, but for the sake of time, but he just says, I urge you to walk worthy of the vocational calling you have received in Ephesians 4:1. And then in verse 7, he says, each one of us grace has been given. It's past tense. The calling is past tense. But then some called as an apostle, prophet, a pastor, teacher, evangelist. But it may be in business, it might be in education, it might be in government. We have so often limited these callings and these concepts to inside the church. And really, they're to advance the kingdom. And Ian, you identified it. Maybe you're an apostle in business or the marketplace, but maybe you're a prophet there, an evangelist there. But we need to be able to recognize that we need a significant shift in our thinking here. And then I could elaborate as well how we need a shift in making money, but I'll touch on that later. But we really need.
No. You should touch on that now. You should touch because we consider it at times it's spiritual to do this. Maybe this is what you're alluding to, Bruce Mann, earlier. This is spiritual, this is not, but it's all spiritual. And Bruce Friesen, I do want you to go deeper now on that, making money, that it's okay to make some money.
Well, when you look at it, first of all, God said to Abram, I'm going to bless you and make you a blessing, and all nations are going to be blessed through you. And we actually see that in the area of prosperity. And that concept continues on for the children of Israel. I have given you the power and the ability to be able to create wealth. How many of us have been in a situation where we've needed money and somebody has given us money? Do we feel blessed? Do they feel blessed in being able to give it? Or we've had the power and the ability because of having resources to bless somebody else, and it feels great to be able to be of assistance. So we need to see making money is highly spiritual, it's noble, it's moral. The more money you can make, the more families or people that you can hire, and their families are going to be provided for. So it's noble in that way that if you're a successful business leader, look at all the benefits there are from the people that you're providing a job for that may not have a job if it wasn't for you. So we've got to have a shift here. I think so often, whether we look at, the love of money as the root of many evils, yes, we've got to see it as a tool. We've got to see it as an instrument. But for all the ways individually or as a nation or a community, it can be a benefit. There's several different scriptures in Ecclesiastes where it says wisdom is a defense. Then it says money is a defense. Well, it's a defense to having my house taken away from me, my car taken away from me. I can pay the bills. But then in Ecclesiastes 10:19, I love this one. It says, money is the answer for everything. For those of you that haven't heard that one, the context is if you have a leaky roof and you don't know how to fix it, you're going to have to hire somebody and pay for it to be repaired. If you want to have a party and you want to celebrate somebody's birthday, unless you have the resources, you can't have a party. So the context is practically money is the answer for everything. So we need money. And so we have to value it. We have to appreciate it. We have to see that almost every single parable of Jesus is about money. And that when we're faithful with money, then we're given the spiritual riches. That's the Luke 16. So we need a mindset shift, whether it's calling, whether it's value, whether it's noble, whether it's a tool, an instrument. Yeah, we need to be careful that we don't fall in love with the money, but we see what an incredible benefit and blessing it can be.
Yeah, excellent. So, Bruce, man, I think he set you up really nicely. That was great points all by themselves. this idea of that it's okay to make money. We've got a mutual friend, the four of us, Ian Jones, and he talks about the idea of compassionate capitalism. Without the capitalism, it's hard to be really compassionate, and that's one of his goals: is how much money can I make so I can bless others? Exactly what you're saying, Mr. Friesen. But Bruce, you want to take this deeper on the dialogue of what you can do with money or what you can do with wealth.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the context of business, running a business, obviously businesses are designed and set up to provide a service or a product, and compensation comes in, you make money. And that the financial aspect is significant. Obviously, if you're not making money, you're not going to be in business for very long. In our Kingdomize Your Business course, we talk about a multi-column balance sheet where, yes, you have to, kind of track and see how you're doing financially. But for a kingdom leader, a kingdom business leader, they need to also be tracking how are we doing relationally, how are we doing environmentally, how are we doing spiritually. These are all relevant and important. But the one unique thing about business is, and history would show this, that business has an incredible capacity to solve problems, to be a laboratory for creativity. And it's not the only one, but it's a powerful one because there's so many motivators in it. And some of the greatest, things that have happened that have blessed communities, blessed mankind, have come through business innovation that has helped to solve problems, to relieve poverty, to advance, all kinds of different areas. And so for us as kingdom leaders, getting up high in, on the balcony and seeing our business as more than just financial transactions, and seeing it as actually something that can be powerful in shaping lives, shaping communities, solving problems, blessing communities. The original understanding of capitalism was that it was a way to improve life for people. It was done to improve society. Our friend Ned Savosa will talk about this in terms of going from, capitalism being moral to being amoral to then becoming immoral, right? Because the motivation is wrong. If it's just about money, getting as much as you can, it becomes immoral. You start doing things that are, manipulating people, or, in essence, being corrupt in how you do business. But capitalism in its pure sense of generating wealth to bless people in order that communities can thrive and people can be, experience the good things that life can bring, is a powerful expression of God's kingdom. It requires wise leadership and stewardship, but it has a powerful way of blessing lives.
Yeah, love that, and it really is. That's what makes it part of that integrated approach of reaching cities and nations, right? Because it is that problem solving where the business people come together with those in government, education, the church, and we're actually know we're here to bring the kingdom here, which is the solving the problem. It is that solutionary mindset, which is really important. So, excellent.
Brian, we should we're all on a call this week with City Vision, and their founder Tony Hodges. I mean, he's brought out a unique piece of equipment, software, processes, which is really going to help cities and businesses for a collaborative effect to become solutionary in their place of where they're focused. And that's that's a practical, on the table example of somebody who's thinking, how do we help you? What is needed to help our community? What is needed to bring hope? What is needed to bring flourishing to the area that I have some level of influence? And I love what Tony shared with us this week, and the software that's already been rolled out in numbers of different places. And so for me, because that's the live example, we were all there this week. We listened to the presentation, and it was just absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the time this airs around the 1st of June, we'll be going public with beta testing on that, and it is really great. It's an online platform to allow people to collaborate together instead of having a monthly meeting where you go, well, next week we'll solve something else. It allows people to go on and go deeper and deeper daily if they want to keep solving solutions both locally in your own city, regionally in your county or your country, but also globally. It's that idea of gaining what other people have learned in other cities, both on the Christian side. So the City Vision, that would be City Vision, but Tony actually has two businesses that kind of are parallel. It's the two wings of the same plane. The one is let's get the pastors and churches and nonprofits together, but the other one is let's get the chambers of commerce. Let's get the city thinkers, the civic thinkers. Let's get those that are involved in the BIAs, the business improvement areas or districts, and they're also bringing solutions to the city. And then how do you get them all together for the sake of the city? And so the tagline we've been using is that we help good people create great cities. So that's kind of what he's doing. It's actually really, really amazing. And so probably by the time this airs, we'll be able to share a bit more of that. So, but you're right, Ian. It's a great example. A great example. And while I'm talking to you, Ian, you're going to stop us from just thinking about us here, but it's going to go beyond us. What does that look like?
So probably many people on this podcast, they've read or listened to the Jim Collins book, Built to Last. It's a classic book. It's maybe 15 years old now, but it was kind of revolutionary in my kind of thinking some years ago, where they did a whole massive survey inventory of companies and businesses that were still functioning after 100 years. And they tried to ascertain some of the values, some of the processes that actually allowed that to happen. As we all know, all of us have been around long enough, and some businesses last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Sometimes they die with the founder. And that may well be so. But I think when we think of a kingdom business, we are thinking of how does this have a generational impact? And maybe the company may not have a generational impact. Or maybe it does, or maybe it can. Maybe it can go generationally. So, one of the people who did KYB, he's a part of a almost a family dynasty who are into poultry, and so they've been into poultry for 2 or 3 generations, and now they're passing all the skill onto him to start a poultry business in Ghana. So he's taken 60, 70 years of experience, intellectual capital of how you actually start a poultry business. But he is probably tweaked it very significantly. He is doing it to have he called it impact. In his language is impact investing. So he wants his business to provide good jobs, people can be employed, but also they're going to look for the needy within the community and how they can help them. But having said that, will his children carry that on? We don't know. But while the business is functioning, you can still think generationally. So who is in my business that I can start speaking to them, discipling them, equipping them to begin to have a generational thinking beyond I turn up, I work at a lathe, I do this on a day-to-day basis, but to actually get them to understand what is it that's going to make you pass something on to your children that will have a generational impact. So are there things within the business? Is there the culture there? Is there generosity there? Is there affirmation there? Is there lifting the lid of people's lives, saying, you were made for more, you can do more. And when that culture is inside of the business and it trickles down to the workforce, they take that home. They take that home to their children and to their grandchildren, and they start filtering that into their world. And I say the business may only last 20 years, but the impact of the business can go on generationally if we have a kingdom culture inside the business. The trickle down effect is absolutely incredible. And so for me, the idea of a kingdom business, yeah, it's great. We've already covered this. We have to make money, or else we don't have a business. But there's much more to it than that, right? It's actually developing a culture where families thrive, owners thrive, generations thrive, that they take the lid off people's lives. And so I've seen that in a small way, even with my own children, because of the things that we've gone through. That as Judith and myself, as we ran some small little businesses, not significant, but the things that we learned, we passed on to our children, and now they are taking the lid off people's lives. They go, no, you're made for more. You are. And so affirmation and encouragement and pouring faith into their friends. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. It's a beautiful thing to see. And so I would say that a kingdomized business will have a generational impact. It's not just your job. It's what you get from your job, from that culture that's created in the business, that flows into your family generationally.
Fantastic. Guys, we're almost at a time, but here's what I want to do. I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds to do a last push on whatever you want to say. Each of you 30 seconds. While you're thinking about that, I want to say this. So, Ian, you just talked about generational thinking, generational living. The significance here is, I'm going to tie this to what we did. We just wrote a book. Kingdomize, just kingdomize it, kids. Just kingdomize it. And the last chapter of our book talks exactly about what you were saying, Ian, about do we want to have short-term thinking or long-term thinking? And we need both. We need to be strategic about now, but there is that generational thinking. So the book, so this will air, man, so you're going to get this, I mean, within a week of this airing, you can order the book. In fact, you can order it, if you're hearing this now, just order the book, go online or get a hold of us. We will save you a copy. And not only are we going to have a book, but on June the 5th, this is 2025, in case if you're like listening in 2047, like it's gone. Like we've written 17 books already. But if you're tracking with us now, June the 5th, this year, we are doing a book launch at 12 noon on June the 5th. But that whole day, that whole morning, we're doing a setup to our book. We're going to share a bit of what's in there, but also a leadership day. Just kingdomize it. What does it look like to rethink our old mindsets? What does it look like to restore the kingdom that Jesus talked about, and then reform society? So there you go, June the 5th. Mark that on your calendar. That'll be fun. So guys, I give you a little extra time. You each have 30 seconds. And Bruce, man, you've got your arms folded, so I'm going to you first.
Going to me first. Oh, excuse me. Well, I'm going to come back to that kind of holistic understanding of business, and just to reemphasize the need as business leaders, as those who have the power to influence people, lives, vendors, customers, employees, how significant our relationships are within business. In fact, they often are some of the most significant in people's lives. You spend hours and hours together, you're working together. There's a powerful ability to influence lives through that business community. And I can think of the people who influenced me when I was a young man, working with them, the things you saw, the things that you picked up on. And to not just diminish that, but to recognize it as actually a powerful expression of our faith, of God's kingdom, and how we treat our employees, how we treat our customers isn't just, well, it's just business. No, it's kingdom.
Yeah.
That's doing business. So that just want to emphasize that.
Awesome. It's all kingdom. That was actually a minute, so you went overtime, but it sounds like you have a cold, so you're thinking slower. I understand.
I am.
Bruce Friesen, you've got 37 seconds. Go.
I'll go high speed. Rabbi Daniel Lapin is the one that influences Dave Ramsey. And so Dave Ramsey reads everything that he writes. But we need to be able to recognize just within this whole dynamic of it is about relational connections. So in this book of the Business Secrets from the Bible, he's talking about what we're doing is we're developing relationships because of a common need in the area of the money. We in Uganda, we've done this in many nations, and Children Arise, but we developed a young man by the name of Trinity, or Emma, for over 10 years. And we were teaching him business more than anything else. And Andrew Banman, my director on the ground there, was doing it the most. But he has now an organization called Elevate, where they bring young people in, and they were not able to get a job because of their degree in university. And he's teaching them how to be able to use that to be able to turn it into business. And he's making multiple business people that now they're feeding their starving parents, their starving siblings, because they are prospering. And the benefit that's happening to everyone is overwhelming. So we need to be able to see, like Bruce Mann has identified, the relational benefits and impact of money. And that it's the way that we can build relationships. I'm not talking about an inappropriate, unhealthy way, but in a healthy way. It's a great tool for building relationships.
Yeah. Really good. Bruce Friesen, you always have great things to say. You went to 2 minutes, though. I don't know what I'm going to do with you boys. Ian Green.
What?
Ian Green, 30 seconds, my friend. 30 seconds.
Okay, this is the only, very simply, I'll say this. Take your eyes off your navel and start looking at the people around you, and then start thinking 30 years ahead and say, how can I get the kingdom of God out there and to them?
Excellent. Buddy, that was 20 seconds. Very powerful. Guys, excellent as always. You all have so much to offer in this area. The amount of intellectual capital, the amount of experience that you all have, really, really amazing. So thank you for all of that today. Hey, if you're listening and you want more information, get a hold of us. Bruce Mann is our go into company guy to help evaluate where they are, how to kingdomize it. We all have expertise in a number of different areas. We have the Kingdomize Your Business course, 12 weeks for calling, lifestyle, and community impact. So whatever works for you. And don't forget, I already shared this with you, don't forget June 5th, get a hold of us, join us online or in person. We're going to be in Paris, Ontario at the Paris Center, and just a morning from 9 to noon with some teaching, interactive dialogue, and then from 12 to 1, we'll have lunch together. We'll do the book launch. It will be fantastic. So Kingdomize your business, Kingdomize everything. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next week on Kingdomize the podcast.
Thanks for joining us today on Kingdomize the podcast. Let's keep the discussion going throughout the week on our socials or on our website, kingdomizeglobal.com. Contact us today to see how we can walk together to see more of God's kingdom in your city as it is in heaven.